So now let's take a look at an example of using a map in Java. We are going to convert our list, our collection of pages that was a list, into a map, because we are going to want to now map a page number to a page. So in this example, we just had a bunch of pages in our list, but they didn't have any kind of page number. But we might want to be able to have our pages have a page number associated with them, and maybe even look up the pages by page number. So maybe we would want to be able to pull page number 5 back. So the way that we are going to do this is we're basically going to change this, and I will just comment this out so that we can see this here for a reference. But we are going to change this to use a map. And this map is going to take two data types. One is the key and the second is the value. So in this case, we are going to use an integer as a key. And then for the value, we are going to use a page. So we are basically going to map a number to a page. And we have to use the object type. If you remember the boxing and unboxing here, we can't use the primitive type here because this collection requires an object. So we are going to map an integer to a page, and that integer is going to represent the page number, and the page is going to represent just the page the same as it did in the list. So we are going to call this pages map, and we are going to create a new hash map of type integer page. And I will hit Ctrl plus Shift plus O in Eclipse to auto import java.util.map here and java.util.hashmap. And this is kind of a confusing syntax here. The map really confuses people a lot because they don't know what to put here, and this looks a little bit weird. But you just have to remember, with a map you have a key and a value, and you need the type of the key and the type of the value. The type of the key in this case is an integer because it's going to be a page number, and the type of the value is going to be a page. And so we are going to map a number to a page. So let's see how we could do this. So in our print method here, we were adding pages. We're not going to do that anymore. Instead, we're going to put pages. That is the syntax we use for a map. And we are going to basically put a mapping into our dictionary or our map. So the way that we are going to do this is we are basically just going to call pages map.put, and then you can see it's already kind of filled in the types for us. We need an integer for the key and a page for the value. So our integer here is going to be what the copy number is. So we need to figure out how to make a number that is going to represent the page number. Let's go ahead and make this really simple. So let's just declare an integer here, call it page number, and we will set it to 0. And then when we get in here, we will just increment the page number every time that we print a page. In fact, let's go ahead and even just start this at 1, since we are just going to start with page 1. So we will basically, when we decrement the number of copies, we will make the page number incremented by 1. And you could just calculate this from copies as well. But I think this makes it just a little bit more clear and easy for this example. So we are going to put whatever the page number is. And then for a value, we need to create a new page. Just like we did when we had a list. So I'm going to create a new page. And I'm going to put text to print. But I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to add to the text to print this column. And then I'm going to put page number. And I'm just going to do this so that we can see that each line is mapping to the correct page number. So we are going to end up with whatever the text was plus a colon and then a page number. So using this, we are going to basically add entries to our map that are going to map each page number to the page that it represents. Now what we can do is go through and print out each page. I'm going to get rid of this output pages method, and we are going to create a new method called output page, and we are going to specify the page number. So I'm going to create this method output page, and then we are going to say page number, and then we're just going to do system.out out.println after that. And of course, we are going to print from our map. So we are going to call pages map.get, and then we are going to get based on the page number. So we are going to get page number, and on that we are going to call get text. So this is a little bit complicated here for what we have done, but I wanted to kind of show you this is something that you would commonly see in Java as a chaining of methods here. So we have our system.out.println, and inside here we have use our map, and we have called it get on our map in order to get something out of the map. So we are getting out of the map based on our key. We pass in the key. The key is the page number. So in this map, it's going to get the value that corresponds to this page number. So we pass it in page number 5. It's going to get page 5, and then on the page 5, so what this evaluates to, it's going to call get text, and that's going to give us our text, and then the result of that gets passed into our println. We could have done this on separate lines, but this is a lot more concise here, and it's really not that complicated. So I would usually put this just all together on one line like we did here. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this would work. So we are doing our load paper, we are doing our print, and this time, remember, it's going to be storing up those pages in a map. And so now we can call output page, and we can choose our page number. So let's choose a page number 3 and run this and see what happens now. Now you can see it's printed, my printer is on, and then our page number corresponds to 3 here, and we could do this same thing with 2. And you can see it's printing page number 2. So the basic idea behind the map is that you are just mapping two things. In this case, we are mapping a number to a page, and we have basically used this put method in order to put the entry into the map, and we put it based on the page number and then a page, our key, and our value. And then to get them back out, we just basically call it this get, and we pass it in the key, which gave us back the value, which then we call it get text on. And maps are really useful in a lot of ways when you want to be able to map two pieces of data together. If you think about it, without a map, it would be really hard for us to figure out the page numbers or to map page numbers together, especially if you want to do something like replace the page number. And when you have a lot more complicated data structures, a map really makes it very, very useful to map two pieces of data together rather than trying to keep two lists that have the same index in that list in order to correspond to two items.